don't have to be Leo Kottke to enjoy playing the guitar. One of those guitars that just makes you feel like you're a really good player. Hey friends, it's time to change the strings on another guitar. This here is the FYM66HD from Yairi. This one is absolutely incredible, as you may know from watching my channel and other channels. And it's time for a string change. It's been a while since I put new strings on this, and what I'm going to put on is what I have on there actually. I have been trying these D'Addario coated strings. This is the XTs, and I'm going to give them another try. I'm not all that convinced about them just yet, as far as being superior than my typical strings in general, my just general EJ16s. These strings don't sound terrible to me at all. It's just been a while, and I destroy the wind on those, and I get a buzz after a while because it literally loosens them up. It destroys them. So I've been thinking about these Yairi guitars and wondering, when did I actually fall in love with Yairi guitars? There's only been a few guitars, honestly, that I have put my hands on that had like a spooky effect on me. You know, like you play that thing and it's a little startling. I distinctly remember my first experience with Yairi guitars was a friend of mine was in possession of his good friend's recently deceased father's guitar. And he had it in his possession when I lived in Colorado, and I got to play it. And I remember it was a Dreadnought Alvarez Yairi. In my imagination, it was a Sunburst, but I actually don't think it was a Sunburst. I think it was a natural top. And I just remember playing that guitar and being like almost startled by its unbelievable tone and playability. I don't know, just magic coming out of it. One of those guitars that just makes you feel like you're a really good player. And yeah, so my friend, his name's Alex Johnstone. He's out there. Hi, Alex, if you ever watch this. But Alex is a fantabulous musician, and he is the mandolin player in a successful bluegrass band called Rapid Grass. And they're busy. They're a busy band. But Alex and I used to do gigs together, and we would just jam and hang. I have a fun memory of somehow, because Alex is such a fun character, somehow he had access to a church and got us inside the church. And one night we went into that church, and just the two of us hung out inside the acoustics of this church and just jammed all night. Had great acoustics. That was really fun. Other fun memories with him. Those guys in Rapid Grass are so fortunate to have him in that band. So that was my first Yairi experience. It really, really hit home. There's been a couple other guitars that have really haunted me since then. I remember playing a Collings OM style guitar, similar to this one. That really spooked me as well. That was an outstanding experience. There's a Froggy Bottom guitar that I played. Oh my word, a guitar store in Aspen owned by Sandy. I remember stopping in there. It's the first place I played a Martin J15, which became my main guitar forever. And that hit me hard. That was pretty outstanding. I had never heard of Froggy Bottom before that time, and I haven't really come across a Froggy Bottom since. But it was one of those give you chills guitars as well. Incredible. So I do have a Yairi project guitar upstairs that is a little scary to think about fixing. I don't know if it's fixable. I will probably show it on the channel at some point. Yeah, so we're going on here with these D'Addario coated XTs. As always, I'm putting lights on here. And these These bridge pins are not slotted. It's quite nice. The slots are built into the direct coupled bridge here, if you're familiar with it. The bridge is really neat. But yep, not slotted pins. They're just round. This guitar I installed a K&K pickup in. Very happy with it so far. Quite happy with it. Couldn't be happier, actually. Yeah, I was recently thinking about some other players that I've known over time, and with the passing of Jeff Beck, which is a big loss for guitar players everywhere. What an artist, literally an artist he was. You know, a lot of mentioning of like the world's greatest guitar players, and so many guitar players come to mind that were outstanding. But a couple that I have experienced in my travels that not everybody would know about have been coming to mind when that conversation is coming up. Particularly, there's a guitar player down in Savannah, Georgia, Eric Culberson, who I've always remembered. He's a blues guitar player that's so fantastic. Whenever I would swing through Savannah, I would go to an open mic there and also go to see him play. He owned a club, I believe it was called Savannah Blues. And he was just such a tasteful player who could just continually come up with riffs, to me at least, in my mind. He was so good, and he was so nice and supportive to me as like this, this singer-songwriter who loved the blues at that time. He was really encouraging to me and very welcoming whenever I went to his blues club. And I'd get up there and play, Lil Son Jackson songs and do my little blues riffs on acoustic guitar. And he'd, break out his Gibson ES 335 or whatever it was he was playing and play some monster blues. And he was so supportive to me, but he was so good. So good. Oh, man. I also love to mention Monty Montgomery. Monty Montgomery was introduced to me through some friends in Colorado, and then when I moved to Austin for a brief period of time, I saw Monty there. He is, I believe, based in Austin or nearby. And Monty Montgomery is an incredible guitar player, and I, in recent years, came to realize and know that Monty Montgomery is an Alvarez Yairi guy. And maybe some of you know this already, but he does have his own Alvarez Yairi model, which is pretty incredible. And if you've seen his original guitar, that thing has been worked. Woo! Incredible amount of wear on that guitar. The lore that I've heard of Monty Montgomery, and this is probably third or fourth hand information, but I've been told this fun little story that Monty was playing a gig once, and at the end of the night he was done and an encore was requested. And so he came out and did an encore, and he was like, thank you, and he finished, and they called for another encore, and then he played that encore, and then he finished, and they called for another encore, and the crowd just wouldn't let up. And eventually he, in playing and just jamming as hard as he can jam, he eventually, while jamming, like broke the strings off of his guitar one by one until he had, I don't know how many strings he broke, but until it wasn't really something he could play anymore. And after however many encores he played, he finally was able to finish the gig. Maybe that's urban legend, I don't know, but sure is a fun story. I've been having a lot of conversations about learning guitar lately and just, practicing or techniques and improving. And There's one thing that I can't recommend enough to anybody that's learning this stuff, and that is to work with a metronome. I cannot emphasize how valuable and important it is to work with a metronome, especially if you're going to be a fingerstyle player. And if you are going to spend time in that, make sure you play like the same song in different tempos. And even like really close tempos, like go from, 60 to 65 or 60 to 70, 80 to 90, 110 to 120. Definitely take a song that you typically play slow at 80 and play it at 200. The other tip I would say while learning anything, especially fingerstyle guitar playing, is start slow. Do everything slow. Like everything slow. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we try to play things at full speed right away, and then we're really bad at it, and then we think we're we just think we're bad at it, and then we don't play it or we don't practice it, and we create bad habits. Start it slow, learn it slow, keep it slow it back down, and then speed it up, and then go back and slow it back down again. I can't emphasize that enough. Use the metronome and slow things down. I wish everyone would go through that process, learning through a metronome and really, overcoming that feeling that you can't play something or you can't play guitar. You don't have to be Leo Kottke to enjoy playing the guitar. This guitar is something else, man. The grain in the wood is so pretty. All right, we're going to tune it up and see where it's at. We are tuned up. We're tuned up half step down, just so you know. Let's see what it sounds like between pre-string change and after string change. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for changing the strings with me.